essentially every major initiative that Donald Trump has launched in his first few months in office has very negative polling responses. Elon Musk is not viewed very favorably by people outside the Republican Party. This sort of massive disruption of the federal government is not. And as the effects of that start to ripple through, that's going to go down more. If Trump's numbers drop to the same level they were 3 years into his last term, then my guess is that the old system will start to recover its strength and find ways to push back. But we don't know yet.
Gautam Mukunda with us. The book is Picking Presidents to be direct. Trench it at this moment. Jess Menton?
I'm curious about your thoughts when it comes to the direction of the economy, because U.S. GDP growth has tracked above 2% 9 of the last 10 quarters. So is this situation more a stagflation, or is it more just we're seeing a stalling out of above average trend growth over the past few years coming out of COVID?
Right, and the rebound was very strong, and the U.S. economy did better than everybody else in ways that you can imagine the frustration of the Biden team and their response to that. But if we think about sort of the major initiatives that are coming through, right, tariffs are not going to be positive for economic growth. This level of uncertainty is going to affect capital investments significantly, and people are just worried. There's a really striking phenomenon we're seeing right now where labor markets are frozen. That is, unemployment is very low, but people are not hiring and people are not leaving their jobs. And a frozen labor market is not good for productivity. I'll also note one thing that people don't seem to be paying enough attention to, which is housing starts 18 months ago went through the floor, in particular for rental properties. And what we're seeing is rent is going up. It is taking up more and more parts of disposable income. And we're not going to get new rental properties that will sort of deal with that demand, which is people are feeling the pain of that really intensely. I live in the center of Boston. My friends who are sort of very successful professionals cannot afford to pay rent in Boston now. It is genuinely astonishing.
Okay, we're gonna do an audible here, folks, for all of you across the nation, and we can do this with Professor Mukunda. He hits one of my third rails. This morning, Steve Ratner had out a fantastic bar chart of the tariff impact across deciles. I went one further in my comment and said, I believe rent is a fixed cost. Like maybe, you think, is rent just meant a fixed cost or a variable cost?
I feel like it's a fixed cost for me.
You nailed it. A plus. With Mukunda great inflation, you get an A plus. God, this is really, really serious. I mean, if I take rent as a fixed cost, the tariff impact on, say, the bottom 3 deciles, and to use a Yale word, it's ginormous, isn't it?
Well, I use ginormous on a daily basis in class now, so it's definitely a Yale word. It is huge. The tariffs are going to hit, and then I'll just sort of we just heard both the president yesterday and then the secretary today proclaiming that Trump was going to balance the budget. I mean, we all know that's not actually going to happen. Like that's absurd. That's exactly the opposite of what he did. But the plans that the Republicans are talking about involve huge cuts to Medicaid as essentially that's not a forecast. It is the only way to make the arithmetic work, and arithmetic yields to no man. So given those consequences, the distributional effects of these are going to be very large, and the low-income voters who Trump remarkably captured in 2024 for the sort of the first time in the history of the Republican Party, they're the ones who are going to take this in the teeth harder than anybody else.
So is Trump really trying to use these tariffs as a way to raise revenues to finance tax cuts? And if so, what kind of lasting repercussions could inadvertently happen to the economy because of this?
So, the problem is the tariffs do not exist in the same order of magnitude universe as the tax cuts, right? And tariffs that did exist in that are impossible because you simply could not import, you couldn't import anything against tariff barriers of that size. So the idea that he's using it to raise revenue for tax cuts is just a fantasy, right? It's like saying that you're going to lose 100 pounds by cutting out your morning oatmeal. I think the longer lasting consequences are less about that and more about the sort of deep and profound damage to the relationship, in particular with Canada, that we're seeing now. The Canadians now boo the national anthem on a routine basis. I'll just say, it takes a lot to make Canadians boo you, right? You really, you're doing some pretty severe things here. And the giveaway is when they talk about stuff like fentanyl, The best estimate of the amount of fentanyl that's coming over from the Canadian border is 0.2% of the total. You're going to cripple our relationship with our most important trading and partner and our most important ally over 0.2%. That seems like a really strange set of choices.